I have a hot take for you today. Not everyone needs to hire or should hire a web designer. So today I'll be discussing whether or not you should hire a web designer or do it yourself. Hi, I'm Chels, and I'm a brand and web designer that helps you to get new leads, make more money, and save time with website and branding. Please subscribe to the podcast and be sure to download my free checklist, The 6 Secrets to a Successful Website, and also join my email list so that you don't miss a new blog post, podcast episode release, and just to stay tuned with what's going on. The question I wanted to answer is whether or not you should hire a web designer. I have certain criteria that I would recommend for you in weighing your decision of whether or not you should hire a professional web designer. You should hire a professional web designer if you already have an existing business and a professional website is something that you need in order for you to elevate your business to the next level. A lot of the projects that I was taking on were people who were launching new brands and testing them out, which is great because at the end of the day, you're going to need a website if you want to have some type of online presence, if you want to get customers online. But I feel as though if you're initially starting out, you should not hire a professional web designer unless it's like absolutely needed. So the first thing is if you already have an existing website and you just need a professional website to get you to elevate. The second thing is, do you have a brand identity? Do you have a brand strategy in particular? Do you know who your target market is? Do you have a compelling offer? The worst thing that can happen is if you hire a professional web designer and you spend thousands of dollars, hundreds if not thousands of dollars on a professional website and the business fails. But if you don't have a really compelling offer to begin with, a professional website's not going to help you fix your problems, if that makes sense. So you can have a good business idea, but you may not have a really compelling offer, or you may not have a compelling offer for your target audience. So you need to figure that out before you decide whether or not you're going to pay a professional web designer. The third thing is you need to have revenue coming into your business so that you can afford to hire a professional web designer. So websitebuilderexpert.com says the right time to focus on your website design is after you achieve net positive cash flow above and beyond $1,000 per month. I completely agree with this. I think that I'll give you an example. Tiffany Aliche, I think that's how you say her last name. She's the Budgetnista. She makes a perfect example of somebody who has a business and someone who doesn't have a business. You launch your business and you have business cards, you get a website, you get, all like social media, you get all this razzle dazzle, but you have no customers, you have no business. Whereas someone Sue down the street that braids hair has none of that. She has no social media going for her. She might because she's young. She doesn't have a professional website or a website at all, but she has customers and she has money coming in. So really make sure that you have the revenue coming into your business for it to make sense to pay somebody to make a website or professional website for you. The last thing is to know whether or not you should hire a web designer is, do you have the time? I think one thing that people underestimate is the amount of time it takes to build a professional website. I more times than one have had people or clients who were like interested or people that was reaching out saying that they needed a website ASAP. And that is not how that works. If you need a website in less than 2 weeks, let alone less than 4 months, you should not hire a web designer. You have other options of getting a website up quickly, but hiring a web designer is not it, because usually if you're hiring a professional web agency, usually it's going to take you anywhere between 6 to 10 weeks on average to build. And there's a lot that goes into it. So I plan to maybe have a separate blog post or episode specifically about the web design process to understand why it takes 6 to 10 weeks. But you need that time if you want a professional website that's gonna work, that's gonna get you new leads, that's gonna convert and translate to sales. It takes time to build that. So I wanted to get into how much you should budget for a web designer. A good rule of thumb is that your marketing budget should be 10% of your total revenue. So if your annual revenue is $100,000, 10% of that would be $10K. So you should not be spending more than $10,000 on your website if your annual revenue is $100,000. Granted, this depends on the type of business you have, because some people, their marketing budget is 40% of their total revenue, but a good rule of thumb is 10% of whatever revenue you're bringing in for the year. You need to also consider the ongoing maintenance costs, because just having your website and putting it up once is not a done deal. You have to pay for monthly hosting. And what that means is you got to think of your website, you're renting space on someone's servers. If you're not using your own servers, you're renting space on someone else's server and you're paying them the rent every month so that your website can live on the internet. So you have to consider your monthly hosting. Sometimes people pay annually because it's cheaper. You'll have to keep your plugins updated. You either have to pay somebody to keep that updated for you, or you do it yourself. So that needs to go into your cost for your website. If you're gonna hire a web designer, I would recommend getting 3 to 4 bids, just so you can see on average what's available on the market for you. But I will say, don't go with the lowest cost option. Don't go with the cheapest option, because sometimes it comes with something, right? I heard a story of somebody hiring, getting 4 bids for a website, hiring the person that was the cheapest, and they ghosted them after the second milestone. They got their second payment and they ghosted them. So don't necessarily go with the cheapest option. Keep cost in mind. Read reviews. I have a Google business page, and I also have testimonials on my website, because I want you to actually see what other people are saying about me, as opposed to just me telling you, hey, I'm good. Hey, I'm good. Also, when you're hiring a web designer, consider the aesthetic that you're going for. So think about the style that you want when you're looking at who you're going to hire as a web designer. So that is a little bit about how much you should budget for a web designer. I hope that kind of helps you to figure out what you can afford. If you're starting out in your business, my recommendation is always to use a website builder. What does that mean? That's a DIY. There are some very nice website templates that you can build that can fit into, your particular industry or niche. And it's a good way to get a MVP, like a minimal viable product, because if you're just starting out, the worst thing you can do is spend thousands of dollars on a website and your business, the offer wasn't good, and you end up having to close or shut down. It's good to start off small, and you see, you use a website builder, you build something yourself, and you see, okay, I'm able to get customers, I'm able to make money. Now let me scale up what I'm doing. Now I can afford to hire a designer, because I know I have an offer that works. I have an offer that I can sell initially. There are some really good and easy website builders on the market. Squarespace is an example, so is Wix. I'll have a separate episode, maybe further down the line, going into the differences between all the website builders that you likely heard about. But I say for now, if you're starting out, use a website builder, buy a nice template, customize it with your own words, and just start budgeting for the website that you actually want down the road. Start saving up your money so that you can hire a web designer later in 2022 or 2023. So if you like this video, please let me know by giving me a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share it with your friends. Share it with someone if you feel like it might be useful for them. And comment below with helpful emoji if you found this content helpful for you. So I hope that this was useful, and I'm going to dive into more of the different website builders that I've personally used, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, a website is more than just design. Take care.